Hey everyone, it's Erica. Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to discuss the secret money-saving tip that my Japanese grandpa taught me. Later on in the video, I'll explain how it helped me to save $10,000. For those of you who don't know, I'm half Japanese. My mother is Japanese and my father is American. I've spent about half my life living here in Japan and half living in the US. I remember experiencing a reverse culture shock when I first came back to Japan after graduating from Georgetown Law School. The two countries have an entirely different approach when it comes to lifestyle and saving money. In the US, everything is much more grand and people are encouraged to buy more, to stock up at Costco, to take out loans to pay for things, and to live in these large apartments, whereas the Japanese are masters of simple living. In Japan, there's a heavier focus on buying within your means and shopping small. You can even buy a single boiled egg in convenience stores. The average size of an owned residence in Japan is 1,309 square feet. That's about half the size of the average in the US, which is 2,687 square feet. So living a decluttered life isn't just a fun fad in Japan, but a necessity in most cases. At the heart of this is a budgeting philosophy designed to help you slow down and analyze your monthly spending. It's a simple technique that anyone can apply without needing any technical prowess. There are no fancy Excel sheets involved or specialist apps. A pen and paper is all you need. I first saw my grandpa using this approach. He used to carry around this small book called kakebo. It translates to household finance ledger. Here's a simple one that I found on Amazon, but you can use a plain notebook if you'd like. Kakebo is a journal used to set savings goals and spend wisely. The premise is simple. Start your month by writing down in your kakebo how much you'd like to save and then what needs to happen to make this a reality. The kakebo then includes space to write down your weekly spendings and look back on the past month. The simple act of filling out your kakebo means saving is a part of your everyday life, and in turn it helps you to keep track of all of your spending. Kakebo dates back to 1904 and was popularized by Japan's first female journalist, Hani Motoko. The tool gave Japanese housewives full control of the monthly spending, and this still holds true today. In a typical Japanese household, the wife will budget for the month and give her husband an allowance based off of what's available. So how does it work? In Fumiko Chiba's book about kakebo, she says you need to ask yourself 4 questions at the beginning of the month. How much money do you have available? How much would you like to save? How much are you spending? How can you improve? Then you need to write down the answers in a notebook. It's recommended you write by hand as that helps you to slow down your pace. When you're typing, you can easily get distracted. The entire internet is just one click away. But if you write by hand, it's just you, your kakebo, and your savings. Now you need to focus on your 2-page spending plan. For step 1, fill out all of your sources of income and your take-home pay for each after immediate deductions like tax and student loans and insurance. Then move on to step 2. Write out your fixed expenses, stuff that doesn't vary like rent and your phone and gym membership. After that, you need to calculate how much you have available to you. Then on the next page, there's 3 more steps. Step 4, how much do you want to save? And be realistic with the first few months. Just because you're ambitious to save doesn't mean that you can suddenly alter your entire spending habits overnight. But the more you start using your kakebo, the easier you'll find saving in the future. Step 5 involves a bit of math. Subtract the amount you want to save from the amount you have available and your savings goal. Then divide this by the number of weeks left until the next payday. This equals your weekly spending. The final step is adding notes. Some people like to set goals or write encouraging quotes, or you can just add doodles. For the next step, we need to keep track of all of your spending. For this, I suggest buying a second, smaller journal and then filling in your main kakebo once you're back at home. The smaller book is easier to carry around. That way, when you're shopping, you can make a quick note of all of your purchases on the go. This is a great way to think about money and budgeting in general, while also getting into the habit of noting everything down. You don't have to cut out all of these small expenses, but this habit of being meaningful with your expenses helps you to slow down and really think about them. Our cashless society makes it so easy to buy without thinking, and this simple habit can break you out of this consumerism trance. In Japan, it's still primarily a cash society. In 2019, Shinzo Abe tried to encourage Japanese people to go cashless with his Cashless Revolution campaign. That said, most people still prefer to use cash in Japan. With cash, it is much easier to track your spending. The physicality of it is a constant reminder of how much you have and how much you've spent. And in Japan, they give you a receipt for everything. I always come home with a wallet full of receipts. This nuance is often lost when spending with cards. Now, this isn't to suggest that you suddenly switch over to cash entirely. You know, I'm a huge fan of taking advantage of all of the bonuses that cards offer, like cash back and points and sign-up bonuses and security. But that's why this method of writing down all of your purchases in your kakebo is the perfect combination of the two. You gain all of the benefits from cards and the physical reminder that cash offers. It's suggested that you divide all your spending into different categories. For example, supermarket, eating out, subscriptions, and travel, similar to Marie Kondo's approach to minimalism. The more granular you get, the easier it is to see the whole picture and see exactly where your money is going. This allows you to identify your demons. Which categories are you spending the most on? Perhaps you notice a large portion of your money goes to subscriptions. If that's the case, you'd want to investigate which ones can be cut and which ones you actually need. I've heard stories of people who started doing kakebo and noticed that they had dual subscriptions to the same product, something that they'd previously missed when using a digital budgeting planner or not budgeting at all. At the end of the week, you'll have a detailed breakdown of all your spending, making it easy to see where your money is going. You can also keep adding notes to inspire you or add short reminders of special events like parties. And then if you've gone a little overboard this week, it's easy to remember why. The last step is then reviewing the month. Ask yourself and write down the answers to these 4 questions. Did you meet your savings target this month? What ways did you find to save money? Which areas did you spend too much on? What will you change next month? Don't be too hard on yourself though, because it's important that you feel good about your choices. If you focus too much on the negative, you're going to lose motivation and give up. Similar to dieting, it's much easier to gradually drop a few pounds than to start some extreme weight loss scheme. When you take things on gradually, they slowly become part of your daily habits. And before you know it, you can't imagine a time before it. Whereas taking on anything extreme will probably 9 times out of 10 result in this quick burnout. It's also important to remember that kakebo is not just about saving money, but also about having those financial reserves on hand in case of an emergency or unforeseen event. So you might want to consider putting some of that money towards an emergency fund, something dedicated like a high interest bank account, where all of that money goes directly towards building up this nest egg in case you need it at some point in the future for these worst case scenarios of life. Doing so will allow you to feel free from worrying about how you're going to pay for those emergencies. And when it comes time for those unexpected events, they won't catch you off guard as much since you already have everything planned out. You also want to be thinking about investing those savings. If you keep it all in cash, that cash is going to become worth less and less each year because of inflation. Kakebo is designed for month-to-month planning, but once you've got into the flow of things, it's really nice to start thinking about the year as a whole. Plan for holidays, birthdays, weddings, special events, life goals, and the material possessions that you want. It's nice to plan for things that you want rather than getting stuck in the paying off debt mentality. Especially in the US, I feel like we have this buy now and get that immediate gratification, then pay later mentality. Perhaps that's why the average credit card debt of US families is $6,270. Perhaps something as simple as tracking your spending in a journal can help switch that to a plan now, buy later mentality. Now, how did kakebo help me? Once I started writing in my kakebo, I noticed 3 things which could be fixed. First, I used to have strong sugar cravings and would often mindlessly buy a snack in the convenience store. I wasn't actively doing it, but it was just like I was on autopilot. When I made an active decision to start writing down all of these small purchases, I saw that I was spending around $2 a day on these unnecessary snacks. This might seem small, but over the course of a month, that's $64, and it's not necessarily good for my health or anything. And that $64, that's the same price as a good week of groceries or a full tank of gas. The next thing I noticed that I could change was my subscription plans. My partner and I were both paying for an individual Spotify plan, but if we swapped to the dual plan, we could save $6.99 per month for the exact same thing. And the last one is where I managed to save the most amount of money. After reviewing my monthly spendings, I noticed my insurance plan was gradually increasing. When I signed up, I opted in for an automatic renewal. What I didn't realize is that this automatic renewal also included price increases. This might have been mentioned somewhere in the letters that they sent me or buried in the terms and conditions, but all good lawyers know that no one actually reads those. I was now paying over $100 a month more than when I first set it up. And if I hadn't noticed, then who knows how much I'd be paying 5-10 years down the line. Just with those three things, Kakebo directly allowed me to save over $170 per month or $5.34 per day simply by being more engaged in my savings. When I was aggressively paying off my student loans, getting into the habit of tracking every single dollar out and being intentional about spending and setting these savings goals helped me to save almost $10,000 a month to put towards my student loans. And so I know the examples that I gave you aren't $10,000, but with money and habit formation, it's about starting small because you can't save $10,000 without first learning the principles necessary to save $5 and $10. So ultimately, what it's about is finding what works for you. And I personally go through phases. Sometimes I like handwriting my spending. Other times I use an Excel sheet or an app. But just wanted to introduce you to this concept of kakebo because it's a really simple way for you to start saving. Write down your intentions for the month and note down all of the little expenses you have, and I think you'll just learn a lot from this process. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked the video, please put a thumbs up on it. It really helps the channel out. If you're looking to invest, you can check out Webull. Using my link in the description below, you're going to get 2 free stocks, and one of those will be valued at up to $1,600. Next up, I'll see you in this video that YouTube thinks you'll like. Thank you so much and have a great day.